Yeah.
Vanglorious Vanguard.
Knowledge born.
Yeah.
United Front. What you want, what you want, what you want.
To the Knowledge Radio.
We in here. What you got? Dot.
Work hard as a slave to one day be your savior. The wave unwavering. This is a labor of love. Rise with a purpose every day. Invigorated. If we were on TV, we'd be 10 times syndicated. If we waited for validation, a paycheck or accolades, we'd be starved, already lost or ran away. But when you're square, solid, and your circle too, you don't need a place for silence. The concept is conquered through media, not areas of people activity. A mix that don't lose ethnicity, tightness that don't lose elasticity. Explicitly, this isn't where we give the novice regard. Nah, this is where knowledge is born. Last time that I checked, I'm undefeated. Deliver edicts, can't resist when the gods build and manifest freedom. When lines get crossed, they may push a loss, cause they get handed a check. We kick your can and cancel your cancerous gestures. A prophet vision, precision, the prescription for the sickness is to inoculate your fate with the winning. Arrogant beginnings turn to humble endings. And US with KBA is a win-win. 1K, 1K.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another hour of Do the Knowledge Radio. Or shall I say it again, Do the Knowledge Radio with the Not I But Dream Team's own, the incomparable Red Fidel. And I am the National Chief Strategist of New Order National Human Rights Organization under the leadership of Gerald Emerson Rose, who I give a strong salute. And today we're just going to vibe out with me and my comrade, Knowledge Born Allah. We are our own special guest this week, and we just want to really just build on a few things and just, just talk candidly with the family, those who view us each week and those who desire to tune in and just, just have a sit down with family, with kings and, do how we do. So, Knowledge, what's up, man?
Hey, peace and black power, man. It's good to be here on this day. This day is normally like a very, very busy day. Got multiple shows going on at one time. So it's good to, let my first show have the time that it had. Boss Talk for my brother, Bossed Up Stacks, every Tuesday, 5 p.m. We doing his 1-year anniversary next week, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So 1 year, him doing his time. New Order, I don't know. I think New Order got like 75 years over here. You understand? They've been dug in. Y'all been dug in for a minute. You see what I'm saying? So,
definitely, man. Definitely. Gerald
keeping
putting the work in for a minute.
Yeah, keeping relationships solid, man, and with him blessing me with the connect with you. You see what I'm saying? The incomparable Red Fidel. You understand? Like
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Adult contemporary hip hop, man. It speaks volumes. You see what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing to be able to, see the landscape and see, what's on the horizon and, be prepared. I did a little live a couple days ago on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Peace and blessings be upon him and his families on his real birthday. Not the celebration that I don't really mess with that too tough. He had a speech the day before he was assassinated, April 3rd, 1968. It's called Been to the Mountaintop. And in that space, when he was delivering and he was speaking, you saw a man who had realized that indiscriminate to what his approach was, indiscriminate to what his message was, it was a man who had saw enemies around him encircled, but he did not allow what he saw presently to blind his vision. It was a visionary. So he like you a hip hop artist, so you're gonna get what I'm saying in a second. You understand? When he said, I've been to the mountaintop and I looked over and seen the promised land. I see what y'all doing. You understand what I'm saying? Like Biggie said, this is how you live in Biggie Smalls. He said, I'm surrounded by criminals. heavy rollers, even them shiesty individuals. He saw everybody for who it was, and he had the ability to deduce and break down the whole situation so eloquently. They didn't even know. It was cats in there. They thought they was getting a shout out. He's like, I seen you, agent. I know you set me up. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it was so serious. It was so profound. And then he left, our people with so many jewels and practical application. It was remarkable. You see what I'm saying? Like he charted the course in regards to what he was doing, in regards to everything and what it really meant. So he said, he said in the speech that I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. Now look at what position he's saying it. He's not saying I'm going to the mountaintop, right? He said I've been to the mountaintop. And what kind of sight and what kind of vantage point do you have at the top of the mountain, at the mountain summit? So he's looking over, like he don't got the same sight that everybody else is around him to see.
Exactly. He's seeing
Another
like
spot.
he's seeing like the bald eagle. He's
Right.
above all.
And he's saying it from a place where he can't physically go. He said, I may not get there with you. He's telling you, he's looking at it, he's seeing it. He got his vision is fixed on it. It's right over the mountaintop, the promised land, right over the mountaintop. And he can't go. So he said, I'm going to be a sacrifice so we can go. You understand? That becomes the personification. I'm gonna let these assassins feel like they win, because this is what they see. You see what I'm saying? So if you listen to the speech and you see the fire in his eyes, you see a man that was unafraid. He said, so tonight, I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. You understand? And for many of us, we don't really take into account what the glory of the Lord means. It means his wrath. That's the glory of the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? And if you recall, after he was assassinated, people took to the streets. People took to the streets. He said that, what did he say about riots? The voice of who? Voice of the oppressed. You see what I'm saying?
I feel you.
What he's talking about, what it's going to take in order to get to the promised land, from a position that already seen it, with the best view in the world. You see what I'm saying? So he also said in the same speech, right? He said, like anybody, I would like to live a long life, but I'm not concerned with that right now. I'm just concerned to do God's will. So that's a part of that vision, to be able to be led to the mountaintop and to look over and to see the promised land and see what it cost you. 39 years old. You see what I'm saying? Wife, family, all kind of stuff going on. You ain't really in a position to leave, but you know when you surrender your will to God's will, you now in another space. You see what I'm saying?
That's interesting, man. You're gonna make me go watch that tonight in my own free time.
Gotta check it out.
I can remember actually seeing it quite a few times coming up, and it always was something that, be honest with you, Martin Luther King was one of those people that I just loved the cadence of his voice and the way he spoke. Yeah. If that drew you in alone, you knew that he was special just from the way he spoke. It was different. It was something different about it. It wasn't so vociferous, and he didn't speak like a Malcolm, or he didn't speak with the vocal trajectory like Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael and them, but he spoke in a way that it was like melodic. It was melodic, but it resounded so far. It spoke to something inside you. You know what I'm saying? And I really love that about him. You know, am I a subscriber to a lot of the nonviolent sentiments? I won't say that, but I respect him enough to say that I know that in his approach to civil rights, in his approach to justice, that alone took a lot of courage and a lot of bravery, and that right there I have to respect and I salute that. You know what I'm saying? So, Martin Luther King was definitely an interesting person. And
People had that speaking style, man.
yeah, that speaker style, his speaker style it has never been to this day it has never been duplicated. It's like he was
I'm gonna
definitely
give you
original.
3 people. I'm gonna name 3 people right now that got that same speaking style.
Talk to me. Who are those three that you say?
Adolf Hitler,
Mm.
Franklin D. Roosevelt,
Mm.
and Barack Obama.
Barack Obama definitely. Barack Obama definitely has that. Barack Obama has it. To me, he has the speaking style without the spiritual rhetoric. He has the speaking style without that spiritual rhetoric. And I think that style, now that you say that, that style that is what actually tapped in to us as people, along with him being black and being in that position of first black president. That style really resonated and tapped into the consciousness and the subconsciousness of a lot of us as melanated people in the United States of America. I can honestly say that. So I agree with you on that.
Now look at
Go ahead.
what they had to do. Look at what Germany had to do, and what kind of leader that was necessary to become a chancellor, to bring that ferocious roaring lion out of the laughing stock of Europe, because Germany was the laughing stock.
It really was.
And the man who took position in power, he was a laughing stock.
He really was.
So now, look at who Martin Luther was, and look at Martin Luther King Jr. You understand? So nothing is haphazard, because his name was Michael, and his name was changed to Martin Luther King. Okay? So I won't get all the way into that, but I'm going to say that Adolf Hitler said that in one of his speeches, the rostrum's full, hundreds of people on the stage, thousands of people in the audience, thousands more people outside. And when they pan through the crowd, you see man, woman, and child mesmerized by his message. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he got some people in the space of fear, but everybody ain't in the space of fear. Most of those people were in the space of love, right? So he told them that he was going to put a car in every garage and a chicken in every pot. He said, and I told y'all this when there was just 3 of us. He started speaking on the street corner. It was him and 2 other people. He started speaking on the street corner. Where they do that at? Who was speaking on the street corner? And what were we speaking about? You understand what I'm saying? So when you start looking at that, you see how mass movements are born straight out of that, but it takes some other kind of sauce. FDR couldn't stand.
A lot of people don't know that.
They put him in a harness for him to stand up. He has to lead a nation at war. From a tumultuous ass world war, and his word has to be the fervor. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
During a world war, and be the loudest, most resounding voice in the room, and he was disabled. So if you look at Martin Luther King in that lane, that same speaking style, was able to galvanize, to mobilize, and to organize, in a certain kind of way that the world had never seen from us. So this is Martin Luther King Jr. You understand what I'm saying? So this puts a certain kind of space in regards to who he was and who he is. So when you look at Barack Obama, his name was Barry.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So he changed his name from Barry to Barack. Barack means blessing. It comes from that Arabic barakat, like it's blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And then you add in the family name. And then you add in the claims that they were saying if he was a black man, he was supposed to be a black Muslim president. How does that work?
Mm.
But when you have a speaking style and you run on hope, Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive. Change. Sam Cooke said a change was going to come.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying? And you have the speaking style of people who are able to galvanize people together in that way to mobilize them, like these masterminds. They didn't come out of nowhere. Like he didn't come out of nowhere. Dr. King didn't come out of nowhere. He chose us in the end. He was groomed, he was shaped, he was fashioned. He was 16 by the time he had graduated high school. They have him in committees. They had him here, there. You know, all of these places before we saw him. By the time we saw him,
He was ready.
old. You understand what I'm saying? So seeing the atrocities that happened and then going to see them around the world, because we forget that he was with Patrice Lumumba, he was with Kwame Nkrumah. You understand? He was with world leaders in his peer group. So it wasn't like he was just here. When he got that exposure to those world leaders, mind frame change. He sat with a little man from Sandersville, Georgia, by the name of Elijah Muhammad.
Elijah Poole at the time, huh?
And his life changed. You understand what I'm saying? He sat with a man, his senior, who the media, through artful mass manipulation, had them at odds with one another. And they had a chance to have a conversation. Whom the world affectionately knows as Minister Malcolm X. Now, Hajj Malik El Shabar's brother, Omar Wali. They had a conversation. And then he said, why I'm opposed to the Vietnam War. And then he said, I fear that I've integrated my people into the burning house. So oftentimes it ain't how you start the race that matters. How you end it.
How you end it. How you
He
end it.
finished strong. He
You
finished
know,
very, very
what?
strong.
You know, it was listening to you say that, it makes me pose the question to you. When you speak and say that, you know, he was groomed.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like the hands that had, who were very instrumental in grooming him, whoever those hands were, groomed him for, let's say, the pre-Malcolm we knew as far as the Baptist minister and the civil rights aspect. But upon meeting with like minds and those minds that actually made him open up new corridors of thinking, let's say the Elijahs and the Malcolms and the Patrice Lumumbas and whoever else that he might have even spoken with, I think that those minds transcended even his formidable teachings to the point where it probably became conflicting within him internally between that which he was brought, that the construct from which he was brought up on versus the reality of what's in front of him. What do you understand what I'm trying to say when I say that?
Yeah, I'm with you. He wasn't supposed to wake up.
He wasn't supposed to wake up. Hence the
Right.
hence the
Yeah.
sleeping lion has woken up.
Yeah, he was not supposed to.
Right.
They did not. It was supposed to be a showpiece, a trophy piece.
For sure.
You see what I'm saying? Now they did a job with his reputation and his legacy. There's plenty of documentation and FBI files and all kind of stuff out there about the life of Dr. King. The Not the legacy, the life. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
there were things that were there. But as I said, it's not how you started, how you finish.
How you finish. For
You
sure.
finished very, very strong. He finished very strong. And he was called a terrorist. So for many of us who say, oh, okay, I ain't with the Martin Luther King ideology, da 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 da, he was called a terrorist. Stan Lee, that raggedy bastard,
The Marvel guy, Stanley.
the Marvel guy Stan Lee said that he made two characters based off of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, Charles Xavier and Magneto. And he he took the struggle of the civil rights as his own people against us, the mutants. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So this was that civil rights struggle. It was the mutant versus human struggle. So if you look at the ideologies that are portrayed, you can see how false narratives can be painted on both and how you can use artful deception to seem like you're in his corner.
Yeah, I can see that.
You see what I'm saying? He picked up his mantle as a young man, young teenager, fresh out of high school after his father. So being a dutiful son, he did what his father told him to do. He was around those people in them foundations and all kinds of shit that his father had put him around. So instead of him being in Africa, he was in Nazi Germany. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of him being in Africa, he was in Nazi Germany. So when you get socialized and you get groomed for power, and then you come back and it ain't really power, it's quote unquote positional authority. Somebody can give you a position and they can take it away.
That's right.
So when they say, okay, nonviolent civil rights leader, that puts you in the box. That puts you in the box. And then how do you go from that? How do you go from winning the Nobel Peace Prize to a terrorist? You see what I'm saying?
You're right.
They put in the paper that Dr. King has outlived his usefulness. See, we don't get into any of that stuff because we go off of the same
commercial,
stuff.
the simulated version of him, and they
They
only propagate and perpetuate that same one face and concept, but they never talk about the post side of his awakening.
The I Have a Dream speech.
Yeah. Oh, they give you that. They pump that to you. They pump it to you.
We know why.
They give
you and I know why.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it, but he called it a cashing the check speech.
Kid, he said cashing the check.
Yes.
Wow.
Go back and listen to the speech. Go back and read.
You know what? I'm gonna go back and study him, man. I'm gonna really go back and really dissect some of his speeches and
It's a conversation about reparations, and then
Yeah.
all that other shit that they was, they flash across and say, well, I believe, I have a dream that one day, all of this other stuff. You understand? Like they put all that in there. That's because that's their speech. That ain't his speech. That's $1 million speech.
Literally, they done made $1 million
Literally,
from that.
yeah,
Literally.
literally. It's $1 million. It's their speech. So just like it's their day, what are you gonna say to them about their speech and their day? It's theirs. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're going to parade and paint a narrative of something that they own, operate, and control. This is how they operate: own, operate, and control. They deal with ownership. They say possession is not offensive of the law; it's theirs.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So this is why this reverberates, and this does well to the psychology of our enemies, because if they can paint you in a prolific manner, in a meek and humble and anti-insurrection kind of manner, then that's palatable. So how then does he become a terrorist before he makes transition? So when they remove you from positional authority, they already have your replacement.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
see? So
Who would you say was Martin's replacement?
there ain't no conversation for here. That's funny though. You know what I'm saying? If you look, you'll know.
I got an
If
idea
you go
already.
back to
I got an
Ben's
idea.
speech,
My idea, huh? My
if you
idea
go
for
back,
replacement is the reason we call ourselves African Americans.
oh man,
That's my idea for the replacement.
oh, I mean, we've been calling ourselves African American or Afro American
Afro
or
American. Yeah.
American since.
Well, you know what? Not us calling ourselves that label that has been imprinted on us now that we perpetuate and we now agree to call ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a label that was stamped on us, and now they just basically that's the status quo. You know, it's on there. All paperwork is on everything. So,
Yeah,
I
we
can't.
had
Yeah.
we had it before they had it, and then flipped it and bounced it and switched it up and gave it some contextual prejudice and
Yeah.
give it
Right.
that.
Right. They gave us
You
some
see what I'm
swag.
saying? Yeah, yeah.
Gave us some credence.
We love what our enemies call us. This is why we take all of those terminologies as terms of endearment, and we don't want to hear nothing from our brothers and our sisters, you
Yeah.
know.
Indeed.
But it's all good. So I'm saying in regards to what it was, we know who was chosen. We know who was chosen. They always name their replacements in public to put their people on notice to say, okay, this is ours. This is ours. You know.
Yeah, I think
In
Mark.
other, it works. It worked in It worked in South Africa. Then you go from prisoner to president. It works, don't it?
Man, that's if that ain't the story of what we if that story doesn't define the very essence of what we're explicating right now, then I don't know what is, and nothing against. You know what I'm saying? I've always thought that if to me the true hero of all is the heroine, which is Winnie. Winnie
Right.
Beacon is the true hero, And
Right.
to this day, I would never discredit the man for who he was, but there's no way possible, brother. You know what I'm saying, that you can go from prison to power in that regards. You could go from there spiritually and mentally in some terms, because matter of fact, there's a brother right now. His name is Kent Osborne. Shout out to him. And his wife is in she's in an organization, Shaneria, and her husband has a book out called From Prison to Power, and he goes around and he speaks at youth detention centers. He speaks to the youth.
Powerful brother.
He also, Ken is a very powerful brother. So I believe that one can go from prison to power in that regard, but in a way in which
Not from president to
Mandela was
president.
the way in which Mandela was.
Yeah.
That truly was like definitely a chess move. That was the grand chess move right there. You know, to subjugate the people even more and to actually keep the people in a state of controllability from a mental place. You know what I'm saying? Or under
Didn't
the
it happen here?
or under the guise of illusion. You know,
Didn't it
look
happen
at it
here?
now.
Didn't it just happen?
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't we have 8 years of that?
Yeah, for sure. We had definitely 8 years of that. We had
And we
our
looking at
we had our
looking at 4 more years of the same thing.
own. we
You see what
about
I'm saying?
to. We about
Yeah.
to because we're under the guise now, and you know this is one of them situations where so many people right now we're on our high again because we have the first, from a historic standpoint, the first vice president, which is what, a black, quote unquote, African American woman. That's uh
Oh,
that's a whole nother conversation.
I don't even
But
want to say African. I could say American.
you know,
I could say
they
American.
say African American woman, but you know,
I could
honestly,
say American. That term, well, yeah, for that I can say American.
I say American. I can even go further to say Indian American. You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
even want to give them that. I just say American. That's good.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know.
that's
So
good
you know,
American right there.
yeah, you know. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting, man. I think honestly, man, and it makes me think about this day and time that you know we're in an information age, and I see being in this age it can have its pros and cons, but I also
Mhm.
feel that with so much information, there's also double the misinformation, and the misinformation to me probably outweighs a lot of the information, especially when it's not deciphered right, because information has to actually be discerned in a proper way in order to actually interpret it in its correct manner to make it useful, you know, on the polarity of building of consciousness and the whole nine. I think so much information out there that people running with it in all kind of ways that actually is not being useful or beneficial to us as a people. You know, the shit seems to actually divide us in even greater ways to some degree because now
On purpose.
we're all everybody's too smart for them damn for their damn selves now. You know what I'm saying?
Silent weapons for quiet wars.
It's incredible, man. It's like it's incredible. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows everything, and that's one thing I love about that Erykah Badu song "On and On" when she first came out, and that one line when she said, "A man who really knows that he knows nothing at all." And in that line, it was so much weight of truth in it. It was the morsel of truth in there was so much to bite on that, oh my God. And that shit was incredible. And that's true because you get to he who really knows or she who knows, you get to a place where, damn, I really know nothing. But when you think you know it all, you still on that journey. You're just on the path. But when you really get to that mountaintop you spoke of like Martin Luther King, you realize that it all is really nothing. And then in that nothing, you realize that all of this something comes from that nothing. So you come more in tune with the nothing, which is the real creation of the something that we exist in. So it's the nothing that, to me, that we all really strive to unconsciously try to get to. You know what I'm saying? And then if you think about it, it's interesting enough that when we were young, there was a movie called The Never Ending Story. I don't know if you remember that story. But
Yeah.
in that story, the biggest thing that boy had to overcome and the beast that he had to fight, well, the name of that beast was called the Nothing. And he had to overcome the nothing. And that story was so symbolic for us as children. But when I look at it now, I see the depth in which they were actually telling you. And this thing was a beast and it lived in a cave and he had to go in there like, and that was his rites of passage, but he had to conquer the nothing. And once he conquered the nothing, he actually transcended to be this great warrior. And that was so symbolic of where we at in just, you know, man's rites of passage into the next level of, I would say, consciousness and manhood to some degree. You know, and it was very interesting. So it's the nothing that to me that I pursue to actually become more aware of. You know, the something is an illusion to me. You know what I'm saying? And so this shit is interesting, man. So I see where the internet actually is a plethora of something, you know, that provides nothing, you know what I'm saying? On so many levels. So I don't know, man. But that's why we got great platforms like this that actually embody so much of something, but all of nothing, if that makes any sense. You know, for real, you know. So indeed,
This
man.
platform came from the celebration of the unseen into the
Yeah,
seen. You
yeah,
heard.
indeed,
And
bro.
so,
Indeed.
it was founded in that spirit to give a voice and a credence and an ode to that we no longer physically see first. So ancestrally, the antithesis of the show was to celebrate and honor our ancestors,
For sure.
to show us as a complete people. This is why this platform is for our people only. I'm not concerned with anybody else and their people. They can go any place else and go and be with their people. We can't go anywhere and be with our people. That's against the law, right?
Indeed.
I'm in front of a store right now. They got signs up saying no loitering. So we can't go be with our people. You understand? Like we literally can't gather nowhere
Without breaking a law.
without breaking a law. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So when you start to look at it, it's like, okay, Dr. John Henry Clark said, who will speak for the Africans in the 21st century? Peace and blessings be upon him. It's a decision to make. It's a decision to make. So the decision was made and propelled and pushed, 2000 and some episodes ago, is that we were going to be the voice box for African people solely, like without interruption, without cut, without fluff, without a lot of this BS that goes on. That people say you got to add, some of the balance and all of the rhetoric and all all of that fluff. Is it yours now? If you got to add all of that, no. We are the most diverse people on the planet. We don't need to add nothing else. So the promise in its illustration and manifestation is to hold a space and a platform where which all of the beautiful intricacies of African people can be shown and celebrated. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
So this was the onus around this platform. This is what Doodle Knowledge Radio is. It's a scientific process of bringing the unseen to the scene and the unheard heard and seen everywhere. So, we deal with African people that people may never heard of because there's always a story within the story and the story behind the story. So there's a journey, there's a story, there's something worthy of celebration, and there's always takeaways.
That's right.
So when we look at the legacy and the life, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, of all our studies, history is best qualified to reward our research. So we know that there's no such thing as time, yet we can reflect on different periods in existence to learn a lesson from. We call it Sankofa. We look back to move forward.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So how do we look back? So, and if we learn a lesson from what we saw, whether it was favorable or unfavorable for the time, is that a blessing or is that a curse? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's on you and your interpretation to see how it comes to you until you know better. So if you can operate from a curse perspective, you can operate from a blessed perspective.
That's right.
Because they both written. And our ancestors said, yo, these was our mistakes. Don't make them. Learn from our mistakes. How would the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey say, he who does not take a lesson from history is doomed to repeat it, if he wasn't speaking from a place of ancestral wisdom?
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, in that mind frame and brain space is where the platform comes from. So we could take the blessings from our experience and propel them forward. We lived in the curses for hundreds of years because we forgot the blessings. We lived in the curses. We existed in the curses. We transitioned in the curses. We passed along generational trauma and transgenerational trauma for centuries. Why wouldn't we turn back to the blessings? Why aren't the people amongst us propagating the blessings? You know why, Red? They
Right.
benefiting from the curses.
Curses.
They benefiting from the
From the
curses.
curses.
And they think if we get to the blessings, they will no longer be necessary. So the Bayard Russians and the rest of them savages that was around Dr. King were benefiting from the curses. So you could be the poor man content with the scraps from master's table. And the master or the rich man would be content with giving you the crumbs from the table. He ain't got to worry about it. If you stood up and knocked over the table, you'd be on the same level as the rich man.
For
You see what I'm
sure.
saying?
For sure.
So this is that mind frame that came along with it. So before his transition, Dr. King was dealing in the realm of practicality, practical application. We saying support black business. He said support black business. He said, oh, they was like, yo, we need black banks. He said, yo, it's some black banks. Take out your money from them other banks and put it there. You see what I'm saying? So the stuff we be talking about when we get real deep, right? You hear, we get real deep out here. You understand? Ain't nothing new under the sun.
Nothing.
You understand what I'm saying? So when you out here operating in the highest brain space of yourself, know that people don't walk this way before you.
The path has already been set and laid.
And they left instructions like, yo, check this out, man. Like, yo, we messed this up, man. Don't do this.
You know, and that's what I think for me. That saying that makes me think about some of our aspiring leaders of today, or I would say black leaders and those aspiring to be a voice of change. And I applaud them. I mean, I'm always subscribing to the heart of individuals. But I sometimes wonder why we don't really practice or engage in the very concept of Sankofa, or or being a Janus deity to some degree. And it's like we don't really look back to see the lessons of those who've already laid this path. And we continuously do the same thing. And some of those same practices, thought processes, um, endeavors, to me, they antiquated, and they only lead to the very same result of those in the past who forewarned us, and laid the pathway, laid the pathway, and provided the instructions. And we continuously keep perpetually uh, uh, doing the same thing. And it's like there has to be a new approach to change. And I think to some degree, there has to be a prescribed chaos. And when I say that, there has to be a prescribed chaos because everything involves some type of destruction. And if we constantly live in this mindset, like, it's just like lilies and roses, then we're gonna constantly be in this place of even never seeing the true mountaintop. There has to be a destruction of things. That's the only way it's gonna happen. Same way we see California, the West Coast burning, and we look at it like, oh, but it's actually beautiful on some levels because out of that is going to be the most fertile soil. It's going to be it's going to be beautiful forests that come after that. And it's like, who knows that if that was even prescribed? We're looking at it from a place of so much having. No, that could be nature prescribing itself to redo itself, or it could be some type of arsenic prescription that took place where somebody did something, on that wet lab. But we don't understand how the chaos is necessary. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I just don't get it, man. And I feel like for me, I feel like I'm one of them reincarnated older ancients that sees in that way, you know what I'm saying? And so I only could really collaborate and corroborate with other ancients who may be able to actually ascertain and see it from that perspective as well. But no knock on those who continuously keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, and at the same time getting no results at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting thing, man. I think that we need an ultimate change. You know what I'm saying? But I know that that subscription has been prescribed by the media, by our books, our educational system, and that's why we get a promulgation and a constant influx of the "I have a dream" speeches, and not the one that you aforementioned, as far as the one he had right before he was assassinated. We get the now commercial Malcolm X. When they wouldn't touch him years ago, they commercialized him enough. And speaking of which, I saw a movie last night on TV. It was produced and directed by Regina King. It's a new movie called One Night in Miami, and it has like, it's the story about Malcolm, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, and Jim Brown. They were all together this one night in Miami, supposedly after Muhammad Ali won the fight against Sonny Liston and became the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. But also, it kind of chronicled how supposedly, Malcolm kind of ushered him into the Nation of Islam, so to say. And it was very interesting. It was shot very well. Virginia King did a great job. But again, the part about that movie that kind of set me back is like, they now always show Malcolm in the light of being in opposition with his teacher and his spiritual father. They speak negatively in very condescending ways about the Nation of Islam or Elijah Muhammad. And they brought Louis X's name up a lot in that movie towards the end before Malcolm transcended. And we all know Louis X at that time, who is now Farrakhan. So it's like they really subliminally be kind of, to me, shooting shots. And if you don't really know the story, or if you're not privy to the truth blossom of the understanding, you'll just be sheep led to a one frame mind of thinking, oh, they did this, or this how this was. And it's much bigger than that, way much bigger than that. So I employ people to see that movie if you like a good movie and you want to, see how it is, but go in it with a deeper mindset and a better understanding of the story and its totality. You know what I'm saying? But it was fiction based a little bit, but that's Regina King's first director, how would they call it? Director debut. And it was pretty good. It was pretty interesting. It's called One Night in Miami. So check it out. I know you'll watch it and be able to draw some jewels from it, and that's something that we can break down. Huh?
Yeah, I saw the movie, and I was gonna wait until you brought it up in conversation for me to say something about it, because I was going to say some things about it, and I
Yeah.
might do a little analysis on it. Not here, but maybe I do it. But with what's going on in the United States, I'll just say United States. I was gonna say the world. What's going on with this corporation right here
Okay.
called the United States? There is a civil war that is, a hyper-dimensionalized Cold War. We're getting to see how civil war and rebellion has happened around the world. All these hundreds of years, and we ain't know nothing about it, right? We're seeing a chemical and biological warfare being raised under the guise of a spiritual awakening taking place. And the rise of the African woman before our eyes, and the centers of power being shifted back in a way. So they show you a sister with the COVID vaccine, right? They show you uh, a sister looking actor going into the White House. And they show you a king, a Regina King, rewriting history before your very eyes. So there's a split in regards to this movie, because there's always a split when a movie comes out. We let a backstabbing snake bastard, Spike Lee, and their handlers give us X. So now, next to the autobiography of Malcolm X, which was also trash, you now have to look at the life and the legacy of a man who was 39 and deduce it based off of everybody other than his family. If you could look at this movie One Night in Miami and be outraged about the references to the minister and not the disrespect of Dr. Betty Shabazz, you have lost your mind. And if you love Spike for it, love Regina King for the same damn thing, you're not going to be able to present this in a way to disrespect a black woman, and you let this coward chump slide for all of these years, who gave you shit on top of shit every damn year, who disrespected black women in every movie that he had. And then all of this goes on his sister, who got handlers, who grew up in the industry. We watched her from 227. We watched her up to the Boondocks. We saw her in these roles. We saw how they socialized her and who she was around. She was around everybody. So, a piece to tell a story about a very tumultuous time without connecting it to the world, keeping it localized in a place. What y'all call it, the bottom?
The bottom.
It's down there in the bottom, right? You see what I'm saying, up there in the county of Dade with all of that history.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that.
All
You know what?
together.
And this something I peeped in the movie and I was like, nah, I might be looking at it too deeply, but I really don't think so. In that in Washington, right? I'm looking at the character they have playing Muhammad Ali, the character they had playing Jim Brown. Those two characters stood out to me. And then I'm looking at the character they got playing Malcolm. I don't know if it was me, but I feel like the way they had Malcolm playing that role, or that character playing that role, he was less masculine than Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali, who in the movie overtly was saying, I ain't gonna say Muhammad, but definitely Jim Brown he was probably the most over masculine character in the role, but he out of his mouth plainly kept talking about how he loved his white women. So it's like subliminally you making the most masculine buck of us be a white woman lover, but yet you making the man who really was most masculine in his leadership and love for his people be this docile individual. Because when they was having these disagreements in the hotel room and such, it was Malcolm in there that was kind of like, like humbling himself to everything. And even when the FOI came in there to try to check situations, he was like, nah, chill, boom, boom. And then even in that movie, no one cried in there, but Malcolm cries in there. When Muhammad Ali decides that he doesn't know if he want to be in a nation, and you showing this man crying, it's like all this doesn't add up to who I see as the shining black prince of our people. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are y'all trying to do? It's like y'all trying to feminize Michael. Y'all trying to emasculate the real character, of this Malcolm X image that we know and hold dear in our heart. But you it's like it was a lot of shit going on in there that I don't know if a lot of people caught. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's happening?
They introduced Jim Brown, a prolific figure. And because we saw him in this state that they showed him up there at the White House and all that with Kanye and all that, you can play now. You can play now. You can do that. They showed him honored and happy to be going back to Georgia on this island to be met up with this bastard shaking his hand, and he said, "Oh, we don't let niggas in the house."
Right. Exactly.
So him going into Hollywood acting, right? Like look, they don't play no games with nothing that they do. You see what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
this is why I'm not going to allow this to be a situation out for me anyway. Y'all let Spike play y'all. Y'all let Spike play y'all. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're not gonna throw this on this African, on this black woman. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nah, they got handlers. So got them handlers. Get at them handlers. You see what I'm saying? So like they played a game, and it was a good way to make this directorial debut. You know, by showing allegiance. You understand what I'm saying? You gotta show allegiance. Yo,
Right.
like what I was gonna say before that, you know, because you brought up the leaders on the rise. In that movie Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman dies. He goes to his ancestors. And his pops told him, he said, hey, you gotta come chill with us, man. It's a wrap for you. He looked at all of these African ancestors who was the Black Panther before him and said, all of you were wrong. Okay? This is what he said to his father, his grandfather, his
I
great
remember.
grandfather,
I
all
remember.
of those in that great line of the divine that came before him, that made the way before him. So, in that Sankofian effect, he was looking back to say, to hell with y'all. This is what I'm going to do. You understand? So, he comes back and fights and kills the liberator for us. The only person he killed. The only person he killed. He did exactly what his father did before him. He did exactly what his father did before him to his own brother that he had to do with his own cousin. And then walk behind that cracker, because this is telling you this is the only kind of leadership that we will accept.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when you just said leadership, this is the only kind of leadership we will accept. One who will come amongst us and kill our own. This explains the White House. This explains South Africa. This explains Dr. King. This explains Malcolm X and so many others. Patrice Lumumba, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. This explains it all. The only leadership that our enemies will accept is those that will come amongst us and kill us. Plain. So this concept ain't just the movie. So you seen it in Black Panther. You seen it in One Night in Miami. One of the greatest and most graceful black women on the planet, Dr. Betty Shabazz, was relegated. Come on. Come on. You
That's real.
understand what I'm saying?
That's real.
And
That's
this
real.
is supposed to be a black woman's directorial debut. This is what's supposed to happen. What my man say, is this your king? Regina King, is this your king? You understand? No. Somebody pulling the strings. Somebody pulling the strings.
Yeah, that's real
And we
talk.
gotta be wise enough. You see what I'm saying? Like we look, everybody, like you said earlier, everybody know everything. Everybody's so damn woke. And look at what they give you.
Look at they what
Look
they
at what
give
they
them.
give you. You see what I'm saying?
Look at
So
what they're giving you that in actuality you're not even receiving.
you're not even receiving.
It's
Because
crazy.
nothing can give you nothing.
Nothing can give you nothing.
Right.
Nothing can only give you nothing. That's for real.
Yeah.
And something can only give you something. I don't
And
want something.
but everything comes from nothing.
Everything comes
But
from
nothing can give you nothing. But
nothing.
nothing can give you everything if
Everything.
you're in a space to receive it. You see what I'm saying?
That's
So
right.
it's all there.
That's
It's
right.
all there.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm talking about. You know, it's interesting, man. One of the first people I heard to me was one of the first leaders I heard really just delineate that and break that down years ago when I was young and just going through my different phases of understanding was actually peace be to the brother. He's incarcerated for whatever crimes that they say committed, but I would never take away from what he brought from a knowledge understanding was Malachi York. Malachi York used to be dropping some jewels back then, man. He said I heard him speak of nothing when I was a young cat deep in the realm of Islam, and he broke that down, and he really used to go over people's head with some of that, man. But I see a lot of his words, and I see a lot of his teachings now being inculcated in a lot of these pseudo leaders and a lot of these pseudo
Recycle.
it is being recycled, but he's not getting the props for
No
his,
credit.
but he's not getting he's not getting the props for his craziness as they deemed him at that time. But Malachi York was a channeler to me. He channeled different energies that came through him. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen this man be a young man, and then I've seen this man be old, damn near decrepit, where they gotta help him on stage, and it was in a matter of like a few days. Like he was to me a channeler. Like his vessel was open to receive different incarnates. Same way like they got a white lady right now. You could go on YouTube. She calls herself. Her name is Esther Hicks. I don't know if anybody knows of Esther Hicks. Her husband died, but Esther Hicks got a lot of series. She's a motivational speaker, but she speaks and she goes by Abraham. I don't know if anyone heard her name is Abraham for those who like into like self-help and all that. She's very known, a few books out. Well, her name is Esther Hicks, but when she speaks, she's Abraham. Well, Abraham is, they are a series of divine or extraterrestrial beings that speak through her. And what happened, they start tapping into her years ago. She's in the world of Christendom, but they start tapping into her years ago, and she didn't really know how to take it. Her husband was into the word of heaven. He helped her like really accept it, but they speak through her. And now she's known all over the world, and she gives all this great advice and such and such. But Abraham is the name for the collective of spirits that speak through her. But her name is Esther Hicks, and she called herself Abraham Hicks. Whatever Abraham is that. And it's interesting that they call herself Abraham because that being the father of generation. So that's another conversation. But it's interesting. So I say that to say that if she can be accepted on such a level without any type of prejudice, without any type of ridicule, how come our people, our leaders be accepted for the fact that they also are caballos or open vessels for the divines to speak through? We've seen it, and I've seen it being a young man growing up in Ifa. I've seen it being a young man growing up in Santeria, Lukumi, and Yoruba, where we get mounted by different orishas. And I've seen it with my uncles now. They're not the uncle that I knew. They've taken on the orishaship of Ogun or Chango and all that. You've seen it. I've seen Oshun enter into a person. So but we just can't seem to accept that. But yet we can accept the demonic nature of a Holy Ghost. You know what I'm saying? We can accept all these things of getting spilled with the Holy Spirit, but is it really holy? If you know what I'm saying, that's a whole nother aspect right there. So it's like I see it as like not to segue too far off, but I saw Malachi York as someone that at his time, his bloodline or whatever he is, I don't want to get into all that, but he was able to channel certain things. Who he was as a man or whatever he's alleged to have committed against whatever, that's something I would never get into. I don't look at it. I look at the awakening he provided. He provided something that was so adverse to what was the normality of information that's like you got to take it serious. You got to look at it and be like, wow, that's a whole different type of edible right now on my plate. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, man, it was beyond a lot of people's, to me, you know, mental grasp. They couldn't really mentally grasp that. But now, you know, everybody dissecting. The same with Dr. Sebi. When he came on the scene with that whole holistic and organic approach, oh man, he got flack all over. Now look, it's so commercial now. Every white person, every green person, blue person, black person, and nobody actually go back to Alfred Bowman, who started the whole thing, aka Dr. Sebi. Nobody even want to give him his props. You know what I'm saying? People wouldn't even be saying alkaline or electric if it wasn't for him. Nobody was saying alkaline. Nobody was even understanding the polarity of the food chart. Being acidic and alkaline and electric foods, that man need to be, and that's the type of stuff. So he was, to me, him and people like Malachi York, who has so many different names, and that's another thing. And I don't want to stay on Malachi too long, but the man has so many different names, and people used to say, you know, this man, he don't know who he want to be. One minute he Muslim, one minute he Jew, and such and such. And there was a video one time where he addressed that, and I was so happy that him addressed it. Now, mind you, for those who may be viewing and listening, I was never a Nubian. I was never none of that under the guise of that. I had my own walk that I was in, but I can respect leaders when I see it, and I can respect those who bring valuable information. So I'm only speaking because I value the information, because it really played a part of some of my own personal awakening. But he said this one time in the video, and I said, damn, that made sense. Now it gave me a better understanding. He said the reason why I was Imam Isa, because when I first got into him, he was Imam Isa. You know, and he had the whole Sunni community in Brooklyn, and they moved, and he came to Georgia. Imam Isa. Then he was Amanubi Ruach Patah. Then he went through the more science of Blackfoot. He was Blackfoot somebody else. Then he went to Christian. He was Reverend Malachi York. Then he went to Judaism. He was I forgot who his Judaism name. And he said, I had to take my people through all those things that have them spiritually trapped in order to decode it and break the spell and curse of those, in order to take them to where I need them to be in the essence of this true truth and what it's all about. And that's a deep, how many real leaders can actually do that? Who would even take on that type of assignment? And not only was he actually saying it, he spoke the languages of those shits. This man spoke Hebrew, Arabic, and he really got into the whole science of it. And that alone, I got to salute. Like, yo, that's a whole nother level of understanding right there. Like, damn, he went into the real science of this shit. And I was like, wow, so that broke down, and that, to me, that just totally debunked the aspect of, oh, he don't know who you want to be. No, you don't know who you are. So he's trying to take you through those thoughts of captivity to unlock you and to free you from the chattelness, or the enthrallment of that type of mindset. And it takes a lot. And Farrakhan said something one time that was profound. He said, don't you know, for a leader to lead Black people, he or she has to love them more than they hate themselves. And that's so deep, because the depth of our hate, one has to have a height or an ascension of love beyond the depth of our own personal hate. And we know that hate runs very deep. And that shit was very deep when I heard him say that. So I say all that to say, and for the new audience who may be listening to this, and for those who may, you know, like Malachi York, I guess that's my little salute to him or whatnot. And, you know, to me, he was a great leader in his time. And I believe that's why they gave the man all them years, based on whatever the Trump charges were. Well, even if they true or if they're not, I don't know. No one's judge and jury, but I can say that the way the court played itself out, and that whole kangaroo circus of a court that he had, and to give him that many years, this man had to know something that they never wanted to be out no more. And they wanted to null and void that situation, because niggas trying to go to Africa. He said, forget that. I'm going to build it right here in front of you for you to see. He said, I'm going to show you how much of a king and queen and pharaoh you are. You trying to go see relics or something, when I'm about to tap you into that what you are, and we're going to build it again. We're going to replicate who we are. What kind of understand? That's a hell of a kind of, matter of fact, that's not even an understanding. That's a hell of an overstanding, my brother. That's a serious overstanding, boy. That could be scary from the viewpoint of those who have no understanding. So it's like, yo, that was real deep, man. Like, this dude was on another plane with it, you know. So, but you know, I salute that, man. I really found that to be amazing when I, got into some of his teaching just from reading some of his literature and stuff and watching a few of his lectures. I was like, damn, dude was on something for real, man. Peace be unto him, man. I hope he's. I heard he was kind of sick where he's at or whatnot, but I pray the brother transitions and be with the divine. You know what I'm saying? Whether he was Yanoon or whether he was of the 20 or of the 25, whatever, that remains to be seen. I really don't care nothing about that. I just know that he came with an understanding and understanding that no one has actually mimicked. People mimic Martin Luther King. People mimic Malcolm X. Some try to mimic Khalid. He's another one that you can never mimic. But I ain't never heard nobody even come close to trying to mimic Malachi York on no level. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, So that's my 5 cents about that.
Yeah. I mean, how many times somebody gonna come to you before you get it? You
Hey,
see what I'm
somebody
saying?
come tell you, man. We don't believe that our God, we don't believe that our ancestors can come to us from divine places. We don't believe that, the concept of waiting on Jesus amazes me because we wait on this character, and and I gotta say character in that sense, but we don't believe when something or someone or some entity really comes for us. We ridicule it, prosecute it, persecute it, kill it, and do whatever while waiting on the very thing that we're actually persecuting. We kill the very thing that we're waiting on half the time. You know what I'm saying? And we wait. Now we got to wait thousands of years for someone to incarnate or something to incarnate and show itself again, only to kill that again because we still on the level of bestiality in our mindset, and we under the guise and the construct of of religion that has us seeking something and not really accepting that which we're seeking. This shit is it's a great mind fuckery. You know what I'm saying? This shit is a great mind fuckery. On a whole nother level. This shit is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, I just we weren't ready for Marcus Mosiah. We to the point we let these people deport him. We weren't ready for that. We weren't ready for that. We weren't ready for the Stokely's. Well, we weren't really ready for what the BPP had to offer. Philadelphia wasn't ready for move to where they literally bombed their own city to take out, people who were peaceful, people who ain't even had arms, people who just was chilling, growing. They the real true vegans to me. Live the vegan organic lifestyle to the point where they damn near ain't wear shoes half the time. Like you bombed indigenous people. They lived on the land like Native Americans. And you bomb a community. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, come on, man, what are we doing here? The terror, we rest with the terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Terror rests with the terrorists. You know what I'm saying? That's what terror rests with, the true terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Shit is amazing to me, man. So, I just like being a leader of these days is like, that's like, having a sign that say kill me for real around your neck, because this shit is not real, man. It's just, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. But yeah, and I don't know why I went into the whole Malachi thing, because I don't know where that came from. And I guess the brother needed somebody.
Right.
I guess spirit led me that way, because I really, man, I really thought he brought something real to it. And it's sad to see that his people kind of disbanded the way they did. You know what I'm saying? And everybody went their ways, but he bought something, and it is what it is. It is what it is.
It's historic. It's cyclic, right?
Yeah, it's
You
very
know,
it's sick.
in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, it say ain't nothing new under the sun. You see what I'm
Nothing,
saying?
nothing
And,
doing with the sun, man.
and all of these things, they are coming to a season. So no matter how many times we get something, no matter where it come from, no matter who bring it to us, you understand how like you study the game, you look, you see, like, all right, well they did that, all right, boom, boom, boom. All right, so let me take a lesson from that. Boom. All right, I'm checking everybody who coming to meet. You understand what I'm saying? Like, all right, let me take a lesson from that. I ain't never sticking around to take no pictures and sign no books after I'm done speaking. All right, next, let's see. Oh, my wife and my children are gonna sit on the front row. They're not even gonna know who they are. All right, next. You understand what I'm saying? Like you keep on going, like boom, but like whoever wants to be in charge, that bad let him. You understand? Like let him go. Yeah, you want to be in charge? Go ahead, go be in charge. You see what I'm saying? So like if you don't take the lessons from it, then that's a curse for you.
Indeed, it is.
You see what I'm
Indeed,
saying? If you'll take the lessons from that, like bro, like I'm telling you, after I'm done speaking somewhere, if somebody come to me that I don't know, that we ain't invited around, you might want to look the other way because I'm going through them. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going through them. I'm going right through them and whoever sent them. You understand? So, like, there are blessings that are there. You have to understand that this is a battlefield, and whether we like it or not, we're at war. You understand? And we're being warred upon, and we're being warred upon by terrorists. And the only thing that gets rid of terrorists is counterterrorism. You understand? So, you have to take the jewels that are in tune with the right protocol. You see what I'm saying? Because danger is imminent. There's nothing you could do about danger
nothing,
other than be prepared.
nothing.
Other than be prepared. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying? So
for real.
if you walking around out here in a state of doubt, in a state of disillusion, and distracted, and your defenses is down, you deserve whatever happened to you out
That's
here.
right. That's
You
right.
see what I'm saying? So you got you got to be prepared,
I mean, I
mentally,
appreciate that, man. I
physically,
appreciate that.
emotionally,
This,
psychologically, spiritually, on every level.
indeed, indeed, my
You
brother,
can't
indeed, man,
superstep because they
indeed.
not gonna let you forget it. And as we seen historically, ain't nobody gonna do shit after you gone.
I mean, at all. We see it all the time. We've been seeing it all the time, man. I mean, they done made They've been making martyrs out of the youth for the past 10 years with killing these unarmed youth. That's martyrizing, our youth, man. And we do our little, do our little song and dance, and keep it moving. And I'm not knocking those who keep their foot on the neck of the system. And
They can
salute
do
to
that.
you. I mean, my organization in itself,
Yeah.
again, salute to Gerald Emerson Rose. He's one of the forerunners, and that's what made me actually get involved with New Order, because of that brother and how he pushes and how he really he really is a component, and he's a proponent of change and what he believes in, man. And but there's a lot of people out here, man. They I call them social media leaders. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to follow us now. You know what I'm saying? It's
They
all
got
about
they got
it's all
roles. They got roles and respect. Look,
yeah,
from a
everybody.
militaristic perspective, everybody has a role on the battlefield. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
That so even spies, okay?
yeah, yeah. They got their
You-
roles.
They got a role. You see what I'm
They got
saying?
their
So the people on social media, if we want to be serious about how we want to get the message out, we gotta put some money in some people's pockets. You can't boost the post on Facebook for free. You
That's
know what you
real.
can do? You can tap into that base of people that's on social media 24/7 and pay them to promote,
Yeah,
which you can't do because you got stuff to do. You
yeah,
understand?
yeah,
So they got social media managers and all that other stuff.
yeah.
I call them African liberation propagandists. That's what I call them.
That's
Don't you
real.
need some? Don't you
That's
need?
real.
You understand? Like
That's real.
there are positions in corporations for people to manage their social media.
I
That's a
agree.
job. They pay somebody. They
I
pay
agree
somebody a handsome salary to deal with social media.
to
And they
deal
say,
with
"Oh,
social media.
we ain't messing with social media."
Right.
No, they embraced it. They
Yeah,
capitalized it. They
that's real.
weaponized it. They monopolizing off of it. So why aren't you using those trajectories in that same kind of fashion?
Right.
You playing on social media all day. So I ain't gonna just say, "Oh, y'all out here playing on social media." Nah, ain't got no time for that.
Now I ain't got no
I'm going
time.
to
I'm gonna
say,
use it.
I'm going to connect
I'm
with you and give you an opportunity to take care of your family off of something that you're doing all day. Because we got youth out here that got these phones and they done turned these phones into $1 million. You understand?
real
They done
talk.
put their friends on, they done put their homies on, they done put their homies on, all from the same phone.
That's
So
real.
there's a way, there's a digital wave. They're giving cats 1,000 years for their digital footprint. We saw what you posted on social media, and we about to give you 4,000 years for it. You understand? Like, this is where it goes.
Yeah.
So they're using this digital footprint to give cats years and take cats' lives. Young rappers being killed because of social media.
That's real.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so if you don't see that the fix is in, and you don't what you the we say to always talk about the crab in the barrel. We don't talk about the crab in the pot.
For sure.
The crab is chilling until it's in the pot and it's hot. You understand?
I'm with you on that, bro.
Now you gonna fight for your life because you in the pot.
I'm with you on that. That's real talk. That's real talk. Hey, man.
Conception.
That's real talk, man. I'm feeling that. Hey, man, but definitely, man, we're gonna have to bring it to a close. I'm gonna go ahead and because I end up going all night with you on this, man. I love building on these type of freestyle conversations. A lot of times, you know, I have a special guest on here, somebody that just helps add to the legacy of what we're doing. But I like these kind of moments too, where me and you can actually chop it up and build, and you know, just talk about the very things that we be thinking, and some of the conversation allow our viewers and listeners to, you know, have a sneak preview of what we talk about backstage or behind the scenes when we, you know, confabulate with each other. So that's pretty cool to sell, because it's nothing like really just being just real with people. This is the real reality show. No script, no nothing. You know, you getting it live and uncut. Now, as you just told him, you sitting in your car looking at a sign saying no loitering. I'm in my office fresh from work. I ain't trying to, you know, be on fleek. I got on the Dickie outfit because I stay in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? I stay doing what I'm doing. So this is as real as it gets. But, you know, that's how we need to come, and that's how we need to always be with our people, because truly we doing the knowledge all day. And on that note, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to bounce and go spend some time with the queen and enjoy some of these shadow hours. Go get some nice healthy victuals in my temple and do what I do, man. And you know, I want to chop it up and salute you as well, my brother, and for all those out there listening. Definitely don't forget to get that album. 555 is out. 555 is out. Let me say it again. 555 is out. It is an opus of a masterpiece by yours truly, the incomparable Red Fidel. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or be gaudy or, you know, any type of thing like that, but I am confident in that which I do, and I do it very well. And I promise you won't be disappointed if you just listen to it, because if you listen to it, you're going to be led to purchase it. And it's available on Red Fidel, which is REDDFIDEL.bandcamp.com. I repeat, it's available at redfidel.bandcamp.com, but it's also available on all your major streaming sites. So Spotify, Apple, Tidal, YouTube, Google Play, whatever you got, just punch in Red Fidel 555. You're going to love it, especially if you're an adult hip-hop listener. But that's not to say that those younger and you won't enjoy it, because you know your boy got swag. But at the end of the day, I'm definitely speaking to the adult conscious mind of us more mature thinkers, and those of us who actually are on another frequency of thought. So with that being said, thank you again, my brother, for actually providing this platform to my New Order family. I salute you, and let's keep building. And I'm about to go ahead and peace it out. One.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get back to the gritty.
And that motive is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.